Hey everyone, my name is Rooster, and welcome back to Mecha Bellum. In today's video, I'll be featuring a very high MMR match between Keepals and B, who I think is Belief from the 201 region. Exceptionally strong players, both have played in the Mag 1 tournament before. And well, it's an exciting match. It goes for quite a while. Titans, carry spiders, you'll see it all. So let's get right into it. Now, Keepals starts with a pack that you don't see too often with Mustang and Void Eye, but I do think it is the best Mustang opener you can get. The Void Eyes offer good DPS early, they're pretty tanky, and if you run the correct tech bar, which in my opinion Keepals here is doing, with at least Energy Shield and Electromagnetic Armor, you can be very pesky, especially into things like Arc Lights if your opponent doesn't run EMP, or, you know, a lot of other chaff clear units. This can be a problem down the line, you know, aside from the early DPS and tankiness they do provide. Now, stacking on one side of the board is somewhat mandatory when you play Mustang. By themselves, they're not that strong, so I do like this. And we're going to get a crossfire where his opponent B has a Training Specialist with Spiders and Marksman double crawler start. The Tarantula here gets leveled preemptively. That will likely get the level up next round. And that is a good pairing as well. 5.2k hit points, Tarantulas that immediately can get levels. Overall, very, very solid. And I would say a good matchup for Belief. Both players trade towers, nothing too impactful. Neither of the armies are really engaged with one another. And it's going to come down to that secondary debuff. Whether or not that's going to happen, it doesn't look like it'll be the case here for Keepals, as all of his crawlers get pulled towards the Marksman, whereas the crawlers for B are going towards the second tower. Mind you, he probably didn't need it, but still, it is going to help out. This Tarantula might end up dying. That would be a nice 200 hit points saved for Keepals, but that debuff does last a very, very long time. The Void Eyes are going to die. The other ones aren't aiming in the correct direction, so it will be round one, convincingly going over to B, with Keepals having to tank over 500 hit points there on round one. Round number two, a second intensive training shows up. A redeployment offered too can be very powerful, especially in these type of very dynamic crossfire scenarios. Being able to move stuff over, being able to go for aggressive plays without really having to commit to deployment, very, very solid. And B, greedily goes for another intensive training, trying to build perhaps the biggest spider, as Keepals would like to say. And yeah, level 3 Tarantula here on round number 2. Kind of scary. There's not much that I'll be able to deal with that. I think even if you would buy level 1 Saber, if they engage one another at the same time, that spider may just be able to have the damage to take it out. So yeah, scary, scary stuff. Farseer going to get picked up here on round 2 for Keepals, and he decides to also go for an intensive training and immediately level that up. I'm not exactly sure what that is about, but then again, I don't know what you necessarily would have wanted to grab. I think a Phoenix here would probably be most common on round 2. Even with the intensive training and selling the buildings, you would be able to go for a Phoenix at level 2, but instead it's a level 2 Farseer with a crawler here on the left just to try and stall. Missile as well. I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. I think, you know, most of the time it's not going to achieve too much. Killing half a crawler pack there is just not worth the 50 investment. And as we will see later on, the strat that Keepals decides to go for really could use as much money as possible. So it's fine here to trade the towers and just say, you know, the first one doesn't matter too much. I would much rather see something here, for instance, in the back to try and catch this crawler pack, because that's really what's the most problematic right now. It's not this first debuff, because the armies aren't fighting anyway. It's this second one. Now, Keepals does have a couple crawlers to go over, but I don't think it's going to matter too much here, as that debuff for B is brutal, and the level 3 spider is going to be able to do a lot of damage. In the meantime, the Farseer is fighting back, but during the debuff it can't really achieve much, so it will fall. And yeah, second debuff now comes in for Keepals, but there just isn't anything left to really make use of it. So another round where a lot of damage is being dealt, right? No units get killed, and Keepals down to 3k entering round number 3. Something needs to change, and change fast, because otherwise he may just bleed out, you know, before we even get to the late game. Round number 3, unit reinforcements do help with that. Stormcaller perhaps stands out here as a pretty common play to just kind of put in front of your weak tower. If you have some chaff clear to pair with it, you can kill the crawlers and do some significant damage to the bigger targets. It does look like that will be the play. As for B, aggressive plays with Rhino, same thing here, like defensive play with the Fire Badger could be a thing as well, and that will be the case. Stormcaller is a bit less powerful for B because a lot of these units are very fast from Key Pals, 60 meters a second on the Crawlers, the Mustangs, tiny targets, hard to hit. So that's often why you would rather use something like a Fire Badger, which is specialized in dealing with those types of units. And I mean, powerful round yet again, right? Range now on the Tarantulas on round 3, 4 spiders on the board for B. And that's kind of the benefit, I guess, of starting with Marksman Tarantula. You don't have to worry too much about your lack of anti-air. And spiders early on, especially with intensive training, tend to deal enough DPS by themselves to be able to take down most of the units that you'll see that early, right? Maybe except a high-level Saber, but if that isn't on the board, there's not much your opponent can buy that a high-level Tarantula won't take out. Left side doing great. I mean, oil here, fantastic. Really good tactic to use when you're defending to try and stall. And look at that, right? Not all of the Stormcallers are alive still, but they are fighting back. And 3 out of the 4 spiders are going to end up dying here. The only one that's left, of course, is the level 3. Does have that range advantage, but without Mech Rage or HE currently, it is just not going to be able to kill everything. At least I think. It is doing good amounts of damage to that Farseer, but at level 2 is just slightly too tanky. And a couple Crawlers still on that level 2 tower, which Key Pals did upgrade. But that'll be that. And thankfully for the blue side, he manages to win a round, stem the bleeding, and start fighting back against an opponent that did start with a lot of hit points. Round number 4, good item shows up, laser sight. The rest isn't that important. I guess advanced power system there is actually worth thinking about. It's a very, very good card to pick, but so is laser sight. Bit early for lightning storm. You could go for it. I mean, it is round 4. There is a chance that you will see it back on round 9, but it is a big investment, and you can probably use all of the money that, well, you have instead of, you know, using 400 on round 4 for that big spell. More Crawlers, and even more Crawlers now getting picked up for Key Pals as he's properly filling out the board now, right? 4 here at the front, 3 in the back, the Mustangs as well, the Void Eyes, which double down as chaff in and of themselves. Chaff heavy board here, and perhaps, you know, electromagnetic armor and energy shield, something that he is considering, because EMPing the Tarantulas can be very powerful, right? Like, they only have to shoot this once, they get EMP'd, they move forward too much, and then whatever you decide to play as your main DPS should be able to take them out swiftly. Range first on the Mustang, and currently you can see, right, there's not a lot of DPS, but the last round went well for Key Pals, and he still has the hit points to go for a bit of a laid back turn, or at least a setup turn here, by ranging the Mustang, which is something that you will want to do if you want to keep them. And you will very quickly see what his, you know, main choice of spider counter is going to be. And it is a unit that does pair very nicely with the Mustangs, as it can't shoot up. Farseer on the right side, still doing a good job. I had, you know, my doubts, but it has been doing very well. I mean, this unit early with levels has always been a bit of a, you know, jack of all trades. It has pretty good base damage, very good base range, good base speed, so perhaps not too surprising that it is fighting back this well. A missile interceptor got purchased, not just against the Farseer, mostly because of the Stormcallers, but, you know, I will try to intercept a couple of these shots as well. Still, though, we're now back to belief, you know, being able to grab around, and it's a good amount of damage. We knew this would happen, setup turn with the range on the Mustang. Mustang not exactly a unit that can fight back against Tarantula, but yeah, something will have to show up next round. So you speed things up here, only one level 1 Void Eye pack remaining, and that spider will very happily take it out. So, round 5, and this is where something big has to happen for Key Pals, I imagine. Shield airdrop here, solid card to pick up whenever it shows up. Cheap, better than, you know, a normal shield, even though it costs the same. And not too surprising that both players will go for it. But yeah, big round up ahead. Lots and lots of spiders on the enemy board. Now with Mech Rage, which is kind of, you know, the break point that you want to get to when you're playing spiders. Now the DPS will be properly through the roof, and the chaff gear will be a lot better as well. So Keep Pals needed to do something, and here it is, the factory on round 5. Now, we might have seen, round 4 factory. It is relatively popular, but round 5 perfectly fine as well, and a bit more of a resilient setup, perhaps, with the range already on the Mustangs, a couple levels, item as well, and some alternative units as well, right, in the front with, potential techs that can get clicked, such as that EMP armor. Now, the factory is very good against these type of mid-sized units. Just a big ball of stats. All of its 4 guns with the placement are able to help out. It might still end up dying here, though. This is, again, level 3 Tarantula. With the Marksman and the Mech Rage, it probably should be able to take this down, but it's done a very good job with cleaning up. And indeed, the level 3 Spider will be the only one that survives. It will be another round victory here for B, but lot better already for Keep Pals. And he does manage to take down that missile interceptor, which is a nice little bonus, right? Setting back B by 100 resources. And now, 1800 hit points. Probably you want to be a little bit more healthy, but it's enough to work with. And round number 6, Smoke Bomb, the thing that stands out to me here. Additional deployment slot, something you could consider as well. But it is a bit late, and that is indeed what we see. So Smoke Bomb for Keep Pals, who, well, thinks that he needs tempo, and I would agree. He definitely does, so the spell is the better option. And B, who's just going to go for the additional deployment slot here, makes more sense as well, because they're playing a smaller board, or a board with smaller units, right? A lot of 200 costs, 100 costs, and in those scenarios, additional deployment slot does make sense. Now, the surprising thing here is that we get double shot on the 3 level 2 Marksman from B. That smoke still lands despite the shield, just wasn't far up enough, and even then, just a very, very large spell, right? Covers a big area. War Factory now has range and is level 2. Even though it did go down last round, it now has double the attack and, importantly, double the hit points. Although, right side collapsing, because Keep Pals had to level this up, the right side does not have the same unit there, and the spiders are simply going to kill it. Level 5 Tarantula, thanks to a natural level up, I think, plus an intensive training. And all of a sudden, Keep Pals down to 648 hit points. Surprising, perhaps, right? Like, you wouldn't necessarily think that the, well, chaff clear unit that Tarantula is at base would be able to deal this much damage, but with the levels, it certainly can. And yeah, the debuff helps out as well, but that is a level 2 Titan going down to, those chaff clear units. Round number 7, more unit reinforcements here. Wasp kind of the thing that stands out, but I guess Typhoon does help with that. And, well, Keep Pals is already kind of safe because he already has the Mustangs. I believe the Typhoon does sell for the most. Indeed, it does. So selling those across 2 turns, not a bad idea. Alternatively, I guess a Rhino wouldn't have been that bad either, just to kind of try and protect the flanks here for Keep Pals, but going for the money, I don't mind. Second tech now comes out, high explosive ammo on the War Factory and the second War Factory on the right, and B is just limit testing spiders at this point, right? They could have very well bought something like an Abyss, or a Titan of themselves, like a Mountain, to try and fight back against the factory, but I mean, so far the spiders have worked, so they seem to be very happy to just, keep on going here with the spider attack. But because there's no chaff protecting this, that factory immediately finds a lock-on. Right side, we get a Typhoon flank, which won't work, but it does stall quite a few units for a while. The thing is, HE Factory is honestly very good at chaff clearing, and it doesn't lose enough damage to the point where it can't fight back against the mid-sized units, right? It will still be able to kill most things, on top of being able to now help out with the chaff clear, which is not a bad thing, because Mustang by themselves, not great at chaff clearing. Yes, techs like HE and Culling Round exist, but frankly, I think HE Factory is just better in this scenario, and that way you don't nerf, the damage on your Mustangs. So the factory now fights back, manages to get a victory. The smoke disappears though, so that did kind of affect things. As I say that, another smoke shows up right on time. B is going to go for it now. And I think it's still correct for Keep Pals here to pick it as well. It has been doing very well, of course. Shields will be mandatory. Don't want those factories to sit inside of smoke themselves. But yeah, back-to-back smoke, kind of, at least showing up whenever the other smoke disappears. This time going to be used on the right side. pretty good guess from B, who's going to beacon away the spiders. That way they don't have to like utilize as many shields, right? Just can use the shield airdrop plus a shield of their own and try to focus on that left side. A third factory now has shown up, and this is where you probably want to start building an abyss if you're B. Like I would start getting scared. Like the early game and mid game have gone very well, admittedly. But there will be a point where the factories start turning things around. In fact, that might have already happened on round 7. And then you just want something a bit more substantial, right? Like, yes, the spiders can fight back and they are over-leveled because of the intensive trainings, but they're not meant to counter factories, right? Like, with levels, anything can counter anything almost. But now that the factories are starting to get levels of their own plus techs, things are getting a bit scary. So, yeah. Double attack has been picked up on the tower here for both of the players, and we'll just have to see how this goes. Now, the thing about beaconing this away is that the factories will kind of have to walk through the smoke themselves to get that tower, and because of the range, they might even end up kind of having to traversing through it. So not a bad tactic at all, overwhelming this left side. That factory, unable to do much, but there's still 2 factories left, and they don't even go to that right side. Instead, they go to the left. However, this one caught inside of a little bit of smoke, and so its range is now diminished to 100. The right side tower will fall, but factory, probably still too many things to shoot at, although I say that, it does fight back quite valiantly. Now it's all going to come down to this one factory. The chaff, though, importantly, has gone, and you can see the high explosive shells there are splashing onto those spiders. The marksmen are going to go down, and the level 6 tarantula that now has AP manages to take it out. So another round going over to B, but not enough to kill Key Pals on round number 9. Here, round number 9, Raiden shows up. It will get picked up. The Phantom Rays are a bit of a concern for Key Pals, because his only anti-air so far is the Mustangs, and one of them is level 3, but, you know, level 3 Phantom Rays with armor would have 180 damage reduction, which means that none of the Mustangs would deal damage, and when you're down to 448 hit points, that's not something that you want to happen, right? You don't want to get cheesed here by some type of air armor play. B goes for the arc lights, interestingly. And one of them on the flanks. I think the other one might have gotten sold. Just trying to pull away as much chaff as possible. Now, another factory does get added. I think this should turn, or at least the back cannon will be able to deal with this. And now we get a melting point from B as they try to kill these. They start realizing, okay, that factory has a level available, so do the other ones. I'm getting away with this for a few rounds, but the tankiness is kind of getting out of control. We get loose formation now, which is a lot better after the buff, right? It got reduced by 100. So yeah, a lot more clickable and definitely very good against any chaff units that have 7 meters of splash or less. This is kind of the weakness of this Mech Rage Tarantula build, right? No HE on the bar, and definitely a very good chaff clear tech to take. But man, look at the amount of crawlers right on that left side, and the melters with range and EMP are able to quite easily take down that war factory. On the right side we have the Raiden though, a ton more chaff, not a great debuff timer. We'll have to see how this plays out. It's going to be exceptionally close as the left side is collapsing now. And you would think here that the game is just over and Key Pals loses. I mean, the tower is under fire, but this Raiden hero goes to the tower right on time, gets the debuff, and because it gets the debuff, the high explosive from the factory manages to kill 2 tarantulas that were locked onto that tower. The melting point gets caught into its own smoke, or at least, well, the smoke that was put there by B, and, you know, miraculously here, Key Pals manages to take it to round 10. So, you know, little angel on his shoulder there, perhaps, as a third smoke shows up the moment the first one comes back off cooldown. I don't even know what this is. Like, what are these duplicate spells? Completely ridiculous. Efficient light manufacturing, by the way, very good with an additional deployment slot, but perhaps a bit late at this stage. And once you get to these later stages of the game, it usually is better to just pick the spells, because one round can decide it all, and if this smoke bomb lands, even in, you know, half of it lands, it might end up deciding the entire game. Levels are getting picked up left, right, center. Arclight here on the flank, and both players do have that smoke. Got picked up by Belief. Don't know what Key Pals went for here. Went for the advanced power system. I did talk about it before. It showed up earlier, but not a bad thing whatsoever. And more melting points now on that right side. The EMP, very powerful, of course. Usually melting points is a bit of a bad time into factory, but that's specifically things like Spawn Factory, because it just like, you know, produces so many mid-sized units that melters aren't well equipped to deal with. But if it's Battle Factory and it's not spawning a ton of stuff, melting point can do just fine. Plus, if you hit any of those EMP rockets, you know, it'll be a big problem. Speaking of spawning, we do get to the stage of the game now where there are 4 factories on the board and there's money available to go for 3rd or even 4th techs. So, steel ball production now been picked up. Will that make a difference? The entire board is going to be covered in smoke, by the way. Factory here gets beaconed back to be able to deal with this Arclight in the corner. And also to avoid that melting point, because it died instantly to it, I believe, last round. And things go a bit better now. That smoke, exceptionally annoying. A lot of the spiders will get caught in it. And the melting points too might end up walking in. Somehow this one manages to find a lock on. The crawler's slightly too slow. Right side factory is now having to push through the smoke. They got to do it quick so they can take out the melting points. I think this one, you know, might end up dying, but the important one is the level 3. The EMP misses, so the factory gets to fight back. Here on the left, it did get EMP'd, but it's powerful enough to be able to take down the melting point. A tower debuff as well. And it seems like with the spawns, Key Pals has managed to stabilize the board, right? Thanks to kind of that that freebie that was provided by the Raiden. But now the board is proving its power. Round number 11, Advanced Missile Device, Wasp Swarm, Amp Core, Haste Module. Nothing too amazing. I mean, Wasp Swarm, honestly, probably worth picking here for Key Pals, as there is not a lot of anti-air for B, at least not anything that likes dealing with wasps, right? Melting points, double shot marksman, just not the best, and there's no fangs either on this board. It's all crawlers. Double defense enhancement, by the way, would be quite nice to grab, and now B finds a gut shot, right? I mean, I did talk about it before. It was offered, those phantom rays, but because the Raiden was in the same drop, I think B didn't want to go for it. This time, though, he pulls the trigger, quad phantom ray with armor on the line, and one of them level 3 thanks to that intensive training. The factories do get leveled up, but there's nothing on the board right now for Key Pals that can deal with this, and it is kind of the one scary thing when you're playing factories, right? It's often why you see people like Factory Master have like a marksman or a farseer from a drop, something, right, on the board in the back to try and deal with these tankier air units. And I mean, this is gonna be a big problem. Now, if you look at the damage reduction, right, the blue ones do 120. This Mustang does have 195, so it actually can deal damage even to that level 3, but it's only going to be 50 damage instead of 195 per shot. So it's going to take a long time, and yeah, we'll have to see if it's enough. Of course, the factories can chaff clear, so you don't need the Mustangs for chaff clearing purposes per se, but you know, we can't have a lot of these Mustangs or a lot of these Phantom Rays survive at 400 hit points. And I mean, look at that, right? Like, they are getting stuck for a while. And you probably would have rather had those Mustangs shooting at the marksman, even helping out with the spiders or the melting points, but they're stuck. How much can these factories do? On the right side, one of them moves through the smoke. The other one as well gets caught now. This one's trying to do whatever it can, but gets locked onto. A melting point did die on that left side, but on the right, EMP, lock-ons, left, right, center, not looking good here for Key Pals. The right side has completely been overwhelmed, and I think this will just be game. It's not going to be just a few Phantom Rays surviving. It's going to be a few melting points as well. That's just going to be slightly too much after that early game. So B finds the correct gut shot here, and we'll just be able to end the game on round 11. Perhaps a little bit anticlimactic, but, you know, these are the gut shots that you should be looking for. And, I mean, the interesting thing is, Key Pals was kind enough to share this replay with me, and he did also tell me immediately, like, what the solution should have been. And it's a kind of a classic, right? in Mechabellum. Like if you have a big carry unit with multiple techs on it, it's often better to just buy more of said unit or to tech it even further. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And I will take Wasp Swarm here because I do think it's just good. You know, opponent doesn't have a great way to deal with it. You could even like put it somewhere in the back here, but let's not like go for any cheeses because I do want to kind of show the power of the tech we're going to click, which is going to be Phoenix Production. Now we want to loan temp range. I think temp speed is also quite important. We have oil on top of things. Not quite sure what I want to do with that, to be honest. Might just like use it somewhere over here. We have the shield as well. Let's just use that somewhere over here. I don't think any other big spells got offered. We can just beacon this backwards to try and deal with that arc light on the flank. And I mean, aside from that, I'm not too sure what we want here. Probably just a few level ups wouldn't hurt. I'm a bit afraid of this factory, like getting stuck in the smoke. Like maybe that should just be beaconed towards the left, for being completely honest. But I guess we'll see. More crawlers probably wouldn't hurt. Let's just grab a couple of those and maybe go for some level ups here. I mean, the Mustang would be nice. This one probably good to take as well. And then that's pretty much gonna be it. There's a play maybe as well here with Energy Shield and EMP Armor. I talked about it briefly at the start of this match, but yeah, that could be an idea as well. Just trying to, you know, EMP the Tarantulas, make them walk forward, and yeah, severely cripple them. Now with the Phoenix production, and of course producing Phoenixes at the same level as the factory, suddenly the Phantom Rays are not going to be as much of a problem. And on top of that, the Phoenixes are quite useful really against Melting Points. Like Melting Point is not the best unit to try and deal with mid-sized DPS units like Marksman and Phoenix. So, you know, producing a ton of them can become a big issue. And you can see here, right, you do simply get the victory on round 11 with 1400 damage dealt. Didn't quite see what B was at. So if you go back to watch the replay, 1400 damage wouldn't have been enough to kill. I think you can probably like tweak some things and like try to min-max the damage dealt, but this would have been a problem, right? And the next round you can just... I mean, the smoke would have disappeared for one, which is kind of a big deal, although I guess both of them would have gotten in bank of cooldown. But you could try to go for Phoenix techs, right? Range, EMP. You could also try to go for something like the electromagnetic armor, the energy shield, stuff like that. A final thing to mention, right? I think B was a bit greedy here. It was probably just some limit testing, right? Trying to see how much spiders really can do. But on like round 7, I don't know when the melters were purchased, but there's a point here where... just buying an Abyss probably would have finished things, right? 648 hit points. The anti-air is Mustangs. At this point, you probably should just try and go for the gutshot. Even at this point, right? With 1500 resources in the bank, you could go for an armor Phantom Ray play. Try to look for those things. It's a bit risky maybe, but if your opponent has, you know, a lot of problems to deal with and you kind of expect them to just go for more ground-based DPS, I think it's perfectly fine to go for that type of gutshot. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you want to stay up to date with latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.